Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Welcome in our Azure Databrick video. Well, here is the agenda of this video. So, we will be going to talk about what is the Databrick, right? And what are the options we have under the Databrick, and then we're going to walk you through with the examples how you can use the Databrick in the Azure environment, and then what are the core component we have with the Databrick, what are the benefits, who can use the Databrick, and who cannot use the Databrick. So all of those things we are gonna talk about in this video, and then at the end I would be going to have a little demo where I would be going to show you how exactly you can create the Databrick and how you can manage the Databrick in the workspace. All right, so let's quickly jump to the introduction. So Azure Databrick is a data analytic platform optimized for Microsoft Azure Cloud Service Platform. Azure Databrick offer three environments for developing data intensive applications, which are Databricks SQL, Databricks Data Services and Engineering, and the Databricks Machine Learning, right? The first service which we have is Databricks SQL, provide a easy to use platform for analysts who want to run the SQL queries on their data lake, create a multiple visualization type to explore query result from the different perspective and build and share the dashboard. The second environment is Databricks Data Science and Engineering, provide an interactive workspace that enable collaboration between data engineering and the data science and the machine learning engineering for a big data pipeline. That the data is ingested into the Azure through Azure Data Factory in batches or the streamed near real time using the Apache Kafka Event Havana IoT. Right. The third service which we have is the Databricks Machine Learning, is an integrated end-to-end machine learning environment incorporating managed service for experiment tracking, model training, feature development and management, and the features and model serving. So these three environments basically which we get with the Databrick. Now this is here the one of the example of the Databrick. So you can see your business app, or you can have a custom app from where you can put your data into the, or you can ingest the data into the data factory, and from there the data factory can store the data of all the data on the Azure data lake, and from the data lake you can basically have your data analytics through the Azure Databrick, where you can use Python, you can use Spark SQL, Signal R kind of services, Splunk, ML kind of things, and then from here you can basically analyze your data, and then you can put that data directly to Synapse for modeling and serve, and from there you can put directly data into the Power BI after the analysis has been done, and to create the graphical dashboard. So that's how end-to-end process work, and that's here you can use the data brick. Now, what are the core components we have with the Databricks? So first is a collaborative workspace. The developer will mainly interact with the Databrick through the this its collaborative uh, it, an interactive workspace. So it's a web-based UI like we have with the other services like machine learning, right? So it's a web-based UI from where we can basically work and develop our like a developer our all rest of the configuration, or develop our models and things like that into the Databrick. The second one we have is the managed infrastructure. It's this takes the form of a managed cluster. A cluster is a group of virtual machine that dive up the work of a query into the order to return a result faster. By default, out of 5 to 10 field, or and clicking on a button, you can spin a Spark cluster that is optimized well beyond open source Spark, including many common data science and data analytical library, and can auto scale to meet the need of given workload. So managed infrastructure is one of the very important part, because that's where everything happen in the Databricks. So When you are creating your workspace, when you're creating a Databricks service on the Azure, it's going to create your workspace from where you're going to manage. But to run anything into the Databrick or any kind of modeling or any type of train is need to be done. For that, you need to create the infrastructure, and that infrastructure called as a managed cluster. The third component we have is the Spark. Spark is a open source distributed processing engine that processes data in memory, making it extremely popular for big data processing and the machine learning. Right? Spark is a core engine that execute workload and queries on the Databrick platform. So again, you have a managed infrastructure, it's a cluster, then you have a Spark, though from where everything happen, it's execute the workloads and queries into the Databrick platform. Fourth, we have a Delta. Delta is open source file format that are built specifically to address the limitation of a traditional data lake file format. Under the hood, data lake is composed of Perquit, a compiler format optimized for big data workload with added metadata and the transaction log. The last component which we have is MLflow. MLflow is an open source machine learning framework that was built to manage the ML lifecycle. A common challenge within the data science is that it's hard to get the machine learning into the production. So these are the some of the component which is there into the data brick, and all of these components are connected to the each other to have the things run into the data brick. What are the benefits we are going to get, right? So we are going to get a workspace as a benefit where collaboratively we can track and organize the experiments from the Databrick workspace. The second benefit which we get is a job. So it means execute runs as a Databrick job remotely and directly from the Databrick nodes. Third, big data snapshot. Track large scale data set that feed models with the Databrick data snapshot. Fourth, security. Take the advantage of one common security model for entire lifecycle management. Fifth, serving. Quickly deploy a ML model to a REST endpoint for testing during the deployment process. Right? So these are the benefits basically which we are going to get uh, from the Databrick. Now, who can use or when to use the Databrick, right? Modernizing your data lake. If you're facing a challenges around performance and reliability in your data lake, or your data lake has become a data swamp, consider Delta as an option to modernize your data lake. Second, production machine learning. If your organization is doing data science work but is having a trouble getting the work into the hand of business users, the Databricks platform was used to enable the data scientists for getting their work from deployment to production. Big data ALT. From a cost and performance perspective, Databricks is a best in class. Fourth, opening your data lake to the BI user. If your analysis BI group is consistently slowed down by the major lift of the engineering team having to build the pipeline every time they want to access new data, it might make sense to open a data lake to these users through a tool like SQL Analytics within Databrick. So that's where you can use the Databrick. When not to use Databrick, right? Sub-seconds queries. Spark, being a distributed engine, has an overhead involved into the processing that's make it necessary impossible to get sub-second queries. Your data can still live into the data lake, but for sub-second queries, you will likely want to use a higher tune speed layer. Small data, similar to the first point, if you would not get the majority of benefit of data break if you are dealing with the very small data like in a GBs, right? Pure VI without a supporting data engineering team, right? So the data break and SQL analytics does not erase the need of for a data engineering team. In fact, they are more critical than ever in the unlocking the potential of the data lake. That said, Databrick offers tool to enable the data engineering team to itself. Last, team requiring drag and drop ELT. Databrick has many UI component, but drag and drop code is not currently one of them. So these are the things when not to use Databrick, right? So let's move to the demos. In the demo, I would be going to show you how exactly you can create the Databrick and then how you can access your Databrick. So to create the Databrick, I have already logged in on my Azure portal, right? So in my Azure portal, I already have a one Databrick service is already created, right? But to create a new Databrick service, you can search for Databrick. You can go to this console of the Azure Databrick, and then from here you can create your Databrick. So you just need to click on create. You need to just define certain parameters like what is the resource group, what is the workspace name is going to be, what is the pricing tier is going to be, what is the networking settings you want to use. Either you want to have a secure cluster, or either you want to use the workspace within the Azure virtual network. And then you do have the advanced option where you can enable the encryption at the encryption at the infrastructure, right? So all of these things has been there. You just need to specify the parameters. Some of the parameters are mandate, and some of the parameters are optional. Like if you don't want to use the public IP with your workspace, you can click on yes. Else if you put it as a no, which means it will be going to create the workspace which allows you to have the connectivity over the public IP, right? Once that has been all of these parameter has been defined, you can click on review and create, and once it's the deployment is validated, you will be able to directly create this Databrick, right? But once Databrick is created, you would be going to have a lot resources except the Databrick. You will be going to have the storage account, you will be going to have NSGs, you will be going to have a virtual network for the worker, right? But once this Databrick is created, you would say you don't have anything here, right? But how exactly you will be going to manage it? So this is the URL. You can click on this one, and once you click on this URL, you would be a part of, you would be going into the Databrick, right? And from here you can manage everything related to your Databrick thing. So now, as I told you, manage infrastructures are very important when you are creating your Databrick. So from here, if you see set up your workspace, so this is a newly deployed Databrick. So it's asking me first to set up the cluster. From here I can create the cluster. So if I really want to create a cluster, I can click on cluster. What is the cluster mode is going to be, what is the cluster VM size is going to be, what is the driver type is going to be, same as a worker, or if I want to change anything else here, and then from here I can click on cluster. So it's going to be create a cluster for me. It will be going to take a little time, right? And but it will be going to create my cluster. So if you see, my cluster is already there, it's currently in the creation state, and as soon as cluster is created, I would be able to do the further work directly here, right? But if you go into the portal and if you refresh it, you would not be able to see anything here in terms of cluster. Even in this, not in this network, you would not be able to see any of this. So you can see so here this has some of the nick which has been associated there. That nicks are basically for this cluster, right? So as I told you, once you go into the worker, or as I was saying, like it's not going to be show anything here, but it will be going to do it because this cluster is going to be part of your Azure network. So you can see, you will be going to see two different VM, right? This is your virtual machine which has been created with DSC2, and it's going to be the Linux, and it's publisher of the Databrick and Databrick worker, right? And at the same time, once that has been done, from here you can specify from where your data need to be imported, right? So you do have a multiple options where you want to import the data. Either you want to import it from data lake, Cassandra, like MySQL, Postgres, Elasticsearch, Kafka, all of those things has been done. Or either you can upload your own data as well. So if you have any CSV TSV file, you can directly upload here into the Databrick. A part of that, you can invite team, you can add the team here to basically for the calibration. Once that has been done, you can give this link to your team, and from here they can basically run the calibration, right? Now you can see this cluster is currently in the creation state, but if you really want to terminate it, go ahead and terminate from here, or if you really want to delete it, click on here and delete it. Once this is done, cluster will be removed from the Azure portal as well. So as soon as you will be going to refresh it, the cluster will be no longer part of this from the Azure portal. So as of now, this is has been just deleted. It's going to be take a little time, and then from the cluster will be removed from the Azure portal. Now, as I told you, the managed infrastructure is very important. But the managed infrastructure is still coming from the Azure portal. So you will be going to pay a two different cost. One cost for a Databricks service, and the another cost is for the infrastructure. Apart of that, you do have other options like the report. If you really want to see what is your data explorer look like, if there's any data is there, from here you can do that. You can see your compute, you can see your job cluster, you can see your pools if you have anything, and then is there any policies has been created, you can see from here. And then you can define your workflow, like you can create your jobs here. What is the jobs is going to be, and all of those things can be done under the Databricks, right? That's it in this video. I hope you like this video. If you like, click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos, and feel free to reach us if you have any questions. Thank you.